Hey, welcome once again to this channel. I'm just Ifeatu and I'll be taking you on a tour around Badagry Slave Trade. You'll also get to see a few different sites around this piece of ancient slave history in Africa. Kindly subscribe to the channel if you like the content and would like to receive updates of future videos. This video is not a substitute for a real visit. It's however intended to highlight a few things you need to know beforehand and also make you want to visit and experience the history. Believe me, there are lots more not covered on this short video. Before anything, let's talk about how you can get to Badagry. Visiting Badagry in Lagos is easier if you live in Lagos. If you do not live in Lagos also, it's not that difficult. Hiring a taxi for the trip, in my opinion, would cost a lot but will be the best option if you are visiting in a group. A cheaper way to go about it is to take a public transport from Mile 2 area of Lagos to Badagry. This will cost from between 1,000 naira and 2,000 naira depending on the comfort level of the vehicle. My preferred transport option for getting here is to go with a boat from the Liverpool port in Apapa. This journey will terminate at the Badagry Marina. I could recall this trip from Apapa was 1,000 naira several years ago when I first visited using a boat. This means of transport will cost you less money and save you lots of time because of the usual traffic jam on the Lagos-Badagry Express route, which is also a very busy international route on the Lagos-Abidjan corridor. The choice of where to stay depends on what you can afford. I personally prefer staying at places around Lagos-Badagry Express, close to Badagry roundabout. You could ask the local motorbike operators where you can get a cheap hotel. Several times I have asked, they have always taken me to a particular one that is relatively cheap and clean. Yes, so cheap that the price has remained the same even after several years. You can also check out deals on Airbnb. For the tour itself, it's better to start it in the morning so that you can finish on time. Touring Badagry will not take less than 3 hours for a determined tourist. Hence, it's a good thing to start tours early and finish on time, so you could spend the rest of the day at the beach or even online reading gossips on your favorite blogs. Importantly, when choosing a tour guide, it is better done based on your budget. The first time I visited years ago, I intuitively found someone on the street who helped me. If you want to go by this option, do very well to find out the number of locations the person intends to take you to and pay him per location you visit. You could negotiate anything from 500 to 2,000 naira per location you intend to visit, depending on the number of persons also. Tipping is not a bad idea, especially when they do a good job. You could actually go to all the sites without the help of a tour guide. You can also ask people around to recommend the next place to visit. On a corporate level, I have a couple of friends who run professional tour companies around there, and you can contact me for their details if you would want their services. So let's start this tour. The first port of call is the Mobee Royal Family Museum. Entering here, you will be greeted by different slave trade era relics and paintings. Tunde is our tour guide in this facility and he did a good job explaining each of the items in the room. There were several of them: drinking pots, cowries, chains, baby chains, metal writing objects, and Mobee's grave, etc. Chief Mobee was christened this name by the Europeans. Each time they visited, Chief Mobee would offer them kola nuts, which is translated Obi in the Yoruba language. At some point, they started calling him Mobee, which is an adulterated form of the word Obi. It was alleged that this chief captured and sold his people into slavery. I was annoyed to hear that slave traders those days exchanged artifacts, guns and hot drinks for human beings. The trade by barter system of trading those days made the trade even look more stupid. A bottle of hot drink is exchanged for 10 slaves and a small cannon gun for 40 slaves, while a bigger cannon gun is worth 100 slaves.
The mouth down lips. So they force that lip through this.
Okay.
It's just like they. So that's the guy that know how to communicate, how to hit while they are working in sugar cane plantation.
Oh my goodness.
And this one here is used on the babies that we use to tie 2 or 3 hands of babies together. For babies not to be roaming about the farm or disturbing their parents while they are busy working in sugar cane.
I mean, this is so sad, man.
And this is fixed on the stubborn slaves. Any stubborn slave that needs to work for the right people, force the hand of the slave like force up to the ribs here. You see, they will hang the person up and entire tree. By the leg of the slave will be suspended from the ground. Punishment for stubborn slaves.
Holy shit.
And this is the iron called iron plantain. They put this one into the fire when this is very hot, it became red hot time. So they use this to write their names on their slave body. For slaves don't have a name, they bear their master's name. So for the white people, they differentiate their slaves among that they use this to write their names on their slave's body. So they can be able to differentiate them when they get to the final destination.
That's so sad, man.
And why this is the money they spend in? Calories. You recognize Storey within ourselves?
Yeah, I've seen it in movies. I've seen this stuff in movies, man.
So, a bottle of gin like this then is in danger of 10 human being.
What's that?
A bottle of gin then, during the days of slavery.
Yeah.
When white people give them this,
Yes.
white people will take out 10 human beings.
Holy Spirit. Jesus.
Why this small cannon gun is in danger of 40 human beings?
40.
40.
Jesus.
And these
Hey.
is the slavery
Oh,
people
wow.
that go. Whenever the slave right from the farm, they fill the pot up with water, so you can love water from the slave mouth and release everyone of them to drink water from the pot. Like animals, they can make it a cup, take water like this.
Right.
The next stop is the Brazilian Barracoon, which was a slave housing facility built in 1840. I had a new guide for this facility. This wonderful guy with very long dreads and a very fast accent. In fact, I thought he would make a good rapper at some point in our conversation because he talked so fast. He talked me through the life and moments of Chief William Seriki Abbas, the owner of this facility. This brilliant slave was sold to several slave masters before he was purchased by Williams, a Brazilian slave merchant at an early age. Under Williams, the young slave proceeded to England and Brazil for studies. He returned to Africa to help his slave master capture slaves in West Africa, giving him a better deal than what he got from the slave traders of ancient Dahomey Kingdom. He was well learned and could speak English and Portuguese. He had 127 wives and 144 children from these wives. Wondered if he sold any of his stubborn kids as slaves. There are 40 small rooms in this facility with a 40 slave capacity for each. Each slave lived, slept, ate and defecated in this facility for 3 months before their onward journey to Europe or the Americas. It was very difficult imagining what life inside the facility will look like for the slaves, with just a slit of hole where a few rays of sunlight will filter in occasionally, without a good ventilation. It was horrible. I was saddened by the fact that these young men and women whom were sold into slavery were only exchanged for worthless things like bottles of hot drinks, umbrellas, tobacco, mirrors, cannons, and so on. The guy showed me some of the personal effects of the chief which he used during his lifetime, like his robes, staff, and so on.
Okay.
So this Seriki is the type he had. Seriki made the of the Muslims.
Okay.
Who brought Islam down to Badagry.
Okay.
During that period, Williams had called this man and tell him that I'll give you your freedom on one condition, you work for me. That is, instead of Mr. Williams going to that was meant to buy slave as Mr. Abbas, will sell this come back for this man and sell him business.
Okay.
And this man agreed, your master, rich man. So this Mr. Williams, the man was supposed to say the fire will build this compound.
Okay.
The year 1840.
This man here.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's face the wall here.
Okay.
This African European product is exchanged in West Africa.
Okay.
European came to shell.
Okay.
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 Because the money is painless. That is started practicing the free country by barter. If out what you have, let me know to that have.
Okay.
The guy will come with an umbrella for 40 states. The bottle of gin.
Umbrella is 40 slave.
Yes.
Okay.
The big cannon gun for 100 states.
Cannot go for 100 slaves.
This small one for 40 states.
Jesus Christ.
They go over there for 40 states.
Okay.
We Africa, what do we use the cannon gun? They gun for fight ourselves first to get more states.
Okay.
Islamic go for 10 states.
Okay.
For 10 slaves. So
Okay.
the mirror will be because it's bargaining power.
Okay.
The legislation with the European.
Okay.
So we get to the Brazil and let them give it to this man as a gift. When
Okay.
it became the same to me of Badagry.
Okay.
Look at this 10,000 was this compound. This compound is being established in the year 1840.
1840.
I told you we have 40 in this compound.
You have what? 40 cells. Okay. 40 rooms.
So let the federal government number with the family. They should retain to slave cell and get all the relics. So they go to the cell and see what we have.
Okay. So you said at this point I can't take camera, right?
You can take camera outside the compound, but not inside the museum.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Let's go. Okay. Not inside here.
You have to hold the camera.
Okay, this is the museum. Okay, okay, that's fine. So we're not allowed.
The next
to take
stop after the
camera.
Brazilian Barracoon was the first story building in Nigeria. This structure was built by the missionaries at almost the same time the Barracoon was built. I was puzzled how the Europeans managed to combine the oppression of slavery and religion in the slave era. I can't understand why our people accepted the religion of those that oppressed them with slavery. This building was finished in 1845. It costed 325 British pounds and it took 3 years to complete. It took so long to build it because most of the things used for the building was imported from England. A few maintenance work has been carried out on this building to stop it from collapsing. Notable in the building were the rooms where the very first Yoruba Bible, translated by Reverend Samuel Ajayi Crowther, was displayed. Even though taking pictures within the building is not allowed, we were allowed to take pictures with the Bible. There was also a photo of this Reverend Ajayi and his assistant, Herbert Macaulay, who would eventually become his son-in-law. Another important room in this building was that which had a safe where all the offerings from the church was safely kept. This is to show how important the church wants to keep their collections from the public, especially in a dispensation where the Nigerian government is trying to introduce Kama, which gives the government oversight into the activities and the funding of organizations and churches. The other good thing about this compound is that it's the first place where education started for the first time in this region. The initial students of this school were adults of over 40 and 50 years of age. There is also a miracle well which was dug in 1842 and has the good water in it. It was named so because every other well that existed around this location all tasted salty except for this that is tasteless, and is still tasteless till date. I drank water from it to confirm that it's tasteless. The climax of this trip was the visit to the Borefu Island. It's a 100 naira boat ride from the Badagry Marina. You could charter a boat for less than 2,000 naira for a one-way trip if you need to do so. This sparsely inhabited island is notorious for its use by slave traders to match slaves to slave ships for shipment to Europe and the Americas. The island has witnessed different crimes and evils committed against humanity. One of the existing evil human creation that witnessed and participated in this evil is the slave spirit attenuation well, which we will see eventually. On our arrival to this Borefu Island, we were accosted by a group of touts who claimed we would have to pay 100 naira fee to continue to the point of no return. I refused to pay since they are not giving receipts for these payments. At my refusal, they too insisted I must not proceed with this trip. After a few altercations, I decided to quit the visit and return home.
Call your friend, call him, tell him that
I left to Badagry Marina, but on a second thought at my arrival at this marina, I decided it would be a good idea to go back to the island and scare them by giving them money while shooting the camera. On getting back, my new trick worked. None of them approached me to ask me of anything. They, however, approached my friend with me on this trip and they complained to him that they hated the way I approached them initially. Whatever the case is, if you are coming with a tour guide, they will not come for you, but if you come in alone, they will definitely come for you. So be prepared to give them the cash or tell them you will film them while giving them the money.
It's about doing this right. My brother, last week, it's about 200. Let's go. No be problem. It's about doing this right. Most of them pay me if I go away. One way, we got me and go to me people by the car. Oh, mistake here. The guy.
We later continued on the slave path walk to the point of no return. On the road was this evil well. The slave spirit attenuation well is a mysterious well that slaves were made to drink from before their departure from the motherland. When rebellious or even obedient slaves drank from this well, they lost their minds and yielded to the wishes of their slave masters.
I'm busy.
It is said that the loss of memory that happens when one drinks from this well will last for 3 months into the journey, supposedly leaving the slave with no connection to anything he's leaving behind back home, but thoughts of the new life of slavery they have been sold into. The locals claim that no one has drank from the well in over a century. There was no rope to draw water, hence I could not taste it to share the experience with you guys like I did earlier at the first story building. We continued on this walk, which lasted for more than 20 minutes to the point of no return. There is an option of paying for a motorbike ride to this same point, which cost 500 naira as at the time we visited. On arrival, we sat out for a couple of minutes, took some pictures, enjoyed the cool breeze of the ocean and nature before we continued back home. We went back to the Badagry Marina, then boarded a boat back to Liverpool Port in Apapa. Thanks you very much for watching, and we hope to see you in Badagry very soon for a visit. Bye bye.